All right, friends, let's make our gratitude tree. As you can see here, I have my white piece of paper and it's going vertical. That means it's nice and tall. And I have a couple pieces of colored construction paper. These are going to be for our leaves. I have red, orange, yellow, and green. You could even grab brown. And we're going to start by drawing our tree. So I'm going to be using a black marker. If you have a black marker, you can use that as well, or you can use a pencil if you don't have a black marker. All right, the first step in drawing our tree is we are going to start at the very bottom of our paper down here, and we're going to draw the tree trunk. So kind of towards the middle of your paper, we're going to draw two areas of the tree trunk that come up. So I'm going to start towards the left side on the bottom of my paper, and I'm just going to go up almost to the middle of my paper there. Notice how I kind of curved my line a little bit. It was kind of like this, curved up. Let's do the same thing on the right side. Curve your tree trunk up, and then make sure that line is the exact same height as the other line. It means it doesn't go too much farther. Okay, now let's make some branches for the tree. Let's start at the first line we made, and we're going to make a diagonal line that goes to the left. So all the way to the edge of our paper, make a diagonal line. Let's do the same thing for the right side. Diagonal line all the way to the edge of our paper. We're really filling the space of our paper up. Now these branches look a little bit skinny. Let's make them thicker. So let's repeat that same line on each side. Looks good so far. It looks kind of like a big letter Y, right? Now let's put a little curved line that meets these two together, and then let's make some more branches. So here's a little rhyme that I like to say to myself when I'm drawing trees. Y's and V's help me make trees. That's because tree branches look kind of like big letter Y's and V's, and you'll see in a second. Let's start at this big branch over here to the left, and let's make some littler branches. So I'm going to make a littler diagonal line that goes up towards the edge of my paper. And then I'm going to repeat that line again to make this branch look thicker. And I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go all the way to the edge of my paper again. Now, if you look closely, that looks kind of like a letter V, right? Yep, it's going to start to look like lots of letter Y's and V's. Let's make another branch that comes up from the other side diagonally like this. And I'm going to start my line right about here, but I'm going to go and get closer to the other line. See how it gets thick right here and then thinner right here? That's kind of how plants and trees and branches grow. They get thick and then they start to get really skinny as they move out. Let's make some on the other side of the tree here. Let's make some diagonal lines that go out to the edge of our paper. Actually, that's more of a straight line, a vertical line. Let's make another one to make the tree branch thicker, but let's get skinnier as we go out. Let's add a few more. Notice how all of our branches are going off of the tree? Because we're kind of zoomed into the tree a little bit, right? So you can keep making branches wherever. Tree branches are kind of random, and so are plants, the way that they grow. They have tons of branches that keep coming out and out and out. So you can keep making branches all over your tree and make it a really big tree. You can even make branches that kind of stop and don't go off the paper like that. You can even make really tiny branches that come off. Trees have big branches and small branches. All right, when you think your tree is done and it's filled with enough branches, you can stop. I'm going to add a few more though. I like to add a lot of branches to my trees. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now let's do something that's called adding texture. In art, when we draw little tiny lines and shapes close together, it sometimes adds details that make something look how it would feel in real life. So we know that a tree has tree bark and it's very rough. So I'm going to take my marker and I'm just going to make some lines that I call hatching lines. These are just kind of random straight lines. And when I repeat those lines many times and close together, it kind of looks like a pattern, right? But I'm trying to make the tree look like it feels a certain way, so it's a texture in art. And I'm going to do that just all over my branches, especially the tree trunk. The smaller branches you probably won't be able to add too much. Just a couple lines there. That makes the tree look a lot more interesting, doesn't it? A lot more like a real life tree. Okay, let's color our tree. Normally trees are brown, so I'm going to grab my brown. You can switch to your crayons now, or colored pencils, or even oil pastels would be fine. Make sure you press lightly when you color this, because we don't want to cover up all of that great texture that we just drew. So this is called shading when I color lightly. Just color really lightly your tree. Now I'm going to go kind of fast because I'm using my iPad. But since you are using your coloring supplies on your white paper, you might go a little bit slower, and that's okay. You don't have to keep up with me. You can always pause the video, color your tree, and then come back. I'm making sure I'm coloring every tree branch. Alright, I'm done coloring my tree. Hopefully you finished yours too, or you paused the video and you came back if you need a little bit more time. Alright, that looks great. Now I'm going to switch back to my black marker because we forgot to add something. We need to add the ground line. Remember, the ground line is a little horizontal line that hops over our main object, and it makes our object look like it's on the ground and not floating in the air. Now it looks like here's the grass and here's the sky. So let's use our crayons or oil pastels or our colored pencils again, and let's just add some green to our grass on each side of the tree. And then we can color the sky blue. Again, this might take you a little bit longer than me, and that's okay. You can pause the video and you can come back. Notice how I'm coloring, though, inside of each of these little spaces of the tree branches. I'm not coloring over them. I don't want to cover up the tree. I want to color around them. That's a really important part of art when you color around your objects. Remember, when we color around something and something is in front and something else is behind, remember that's called overlapping? So we're kind of overlapping the tree and the sky. The sky is behind, the tree is in front. Okay, there's my sky. I'm finished with mine. When you're done with yours, let's start to color, or not color, let's start to draw our leaves. Grab your black marker again, and I want you to grab your colorful pieces of paper now. Red, orange, yellow, green, and you can even grab brown too if you want. We're going to draw and then cut out 4 different leaves. You can draw more if you want. I'm just going to start with 4.